Hello everyone. As you may know, stuff has been crazy domestically and internationally in this world, and during stressful times, I always find comfort in cinema, in movies. And that got me thinking about my favorite comfort movies. So, whenever you're feeling down, when you're just stressed out with world events, with stuff that happens in your life, with relationships, whatever, let me know your favorite comfort movies that you like to watch that always bring you joy. And they may not necessarily have to be an upbeat film. They could be horror films, dramas, sci-fi, anything. Just let me know your favorite comfort films down below. This list is not going to be short, but I'm going to quickly run over a bunch of films. Starting off with my first comfort film is Real Genius. Absolutely love this Val Kilmer film. This is the reason why Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears is my favorite song. Seriously, check it out. It's a moral imperative. Then would be Ferris Bueller's Day Off, a film that I watched many times on VHS, even when I was playing hooky from school. Absolute classic. Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero is an underrated John McTiernan film that was a meta comedy way ahead of its time. Then would be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. You ooze, you lose. I love this movie. Ivan Ooze. Yeah, it's Belloc from Raiders of the Lost Ark. How crazy is that? But yeah, for any 90s kids out there, you know how special this is. After Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1, 2, and 3. That would be the first one, Secret of the Ooze, and 3. The one with the scepter. Yes, I like that one too. Then more recently would be Top Gun Maverick. This is how you do a legacy sequel that might actually be superior to the first in many ways. I love this movie. This is a feel-good movie that was needed after the COVID pandemic. Next up is Tron Legacy. Yeah, this film is biodigital jazz, man. And who could forget Daft Punk's soundtrack? Next up would be more of a drama, but the perks of being a wallflower always helps when I feel down. And I kind of lived Charlie's life when I moved to a new area in middle school. I didn't know anybody and I had no friends for a while. So it's near and dear to my heart. And then of course Emma Watson is always great, so yeah, this film just makes me feel infinite. Next up would be a dramedy called Stuck in Love, really about writers Greg Kinnear and Lily Collins, and Logan Lerman is also in this as well, Jennifer Connelly. Next up would be a Gen Xer type of film, Reality Bites. Kind of an interesting love triangle, not very good choices for Winona Ryder, but I love her in this, the most beautiful she's looked in film. Seriously, Ethan Hawke is a jerk in this, but there's something about him as Troy that's just I don't know, interesting. And then Ben Stiller, of course, is Greg. And it's his first directorial film, so this is the first time Ben Stiller directed something, and it's actually more of a drama, even though it does have comedic moments compared to his later films. Speaking of Ben Stiller directed films, we have Zoolander. Yes, the Wham! Wake Me Up Before You Go gas station scene is enough to cheer anyone up with how bizarre and morbid it is, but then you get Mugatu with Will Ferrell and a lot of other comedy there with Owen Wilson as Hansel. Next up is another underrated Ben Stiller comedy called Mystery Men. I saw this in the theaters with my mom. We thought it was going to be a serious superhero film. It was a comedy, and it's a feel-good one at that. The Disaster Artist. This is my movie, and this is my life. It's the behind-the-scenes telling of The Room by Tommy Wiseau, Greg Sestero. You have James and Dave Franco in this. I love this. Fighting with My Family. This is the Paige biopic. I love Florence Pugh in this. This is such an inspirational film. Despite taking certain embellishments with the WWE matches near the end, I do like the story. Next up in quick succession would be Man of Steel. I love Henry Cavill in this. And then you get BVS, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I mean, just to that Wonder Woman scene and then Batman and Superman. And then most of all, one of my favorite, I think the most quintessential DC Comics film ever made, Zack Snyder's Justice League. A 4-hour modern epic that is just beautiful. Speaking of epic trilogies, The Godfather is another set of comfort films. I know they're dark, and at times I only like the first two, but now with Coda, I love all three films. And with another trilogy, Back to the Future. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit. After that, for superheroes, let's go back to the Dark Knight trilogy. Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. I live and breathe those films. Batman finally done right, and it's a perfect Batman trilogy. Even if the rest of the Batman films in history are shit, I always have these three films. After that would be Young Guns and Young Guns 2. I'll Make You Famous. I love Billy the Kid, Emilio Estevez, Lou Diamond Phillips, Kiefer Sutherland, Dermot Mulroney, you know. Oh man, Christian Slater in the second one. After that would be Good Will Hunting, such an underrated Matt Damon, Ben Affleck film, and in many ways, it's kind of similar to another film with Saturday Night Fever, as far as somebody getting out of their predicament in life and rising up to the potential they could fully be, you know. And I guess after that, it would be Saturday Night Fever and Staying Alive. I love the Bee Gees music, and Tony Manero, he's a conflicted character. Not very PC now, but I like that this film is gritty and realistic, and it's not like the most perfect person, you know? And yet, he still has charisma, and we still find him captivating, you know, as far as like a human being, as a story. I love his character and what Tony Manero goes through in the first film, and then the second film is a completely different monster by Sylvester Stallone, but I still like it because Tony is growing and learning. He's not the same person he was in Saturday Night Fever, and that movie shows it. Going back to trilogies would be the Before trilogy. I love Richard Linklater with Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. Great trilogy. And then another underrated film in the same vein is Boyhood, a great 12-year experiment seeing these parents and child age 12 years. After that, it's kind of a dark movie, but after going through some heartbreak in my life, I really resonated with Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise and Penelope Cruz. Such an underrated movie. It's a revolution of the mind, and it shows you that life isn't as sweet without the sour. Going with rom-coms, I always liked Always Be My Maybe with Randall Park and Ali Wong. Such a funny Netflix film, and yeah, he punches Keanu Reeves in that movie. Next up would be Terminator 2 Judgment Day, probably the most quintessential sci-fi action film along with Matrix and Independence Day in the 90s. And to hell with it, I love all the Terminators, except for Dark Fate. So I like Terminator 1, Judgment Day, Rise of the Machine, Salvation, and then I even love Genesis. That's kind of a guilty pleasure, but I like it. It's just a feel-good movie, you know? The last one, the less we talk about it, the better. Next up would be Silver Linings Playbook. Such a great movie with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro. Oh, man. Yeah. Excelsior. About Time is such a great film. Rachel McAdams just has something with time-traveling men, I have to say, but it's very sad, especially with the main character and then his father that Bill Nye plays. That scene between them in the middle of the movie just wrecks me up every time, but it's a film, even though it has time travel, it's really a film about love and life. Next up, going more comic book, is Batman 1989, the first Batman movie I ever saw. My brother put the VHS on, and ever since I've been a Batman fan, so blame him for me being a Batman fan. And after that, there's only one film that's forever. Batman Forever. Yeah, I like it. Going with Marvel, I have to say X-Men Days of Future Past is such an awesome movie, a return to form for the franchise. And it was a good sequel to X-Men First Class. I love seeing this story, and just seeing the blend of the younger and the older X-Men is just perfect. Spider-Man from 2002. Yeah, they say that a hero can save us. Everything about this movie is just everything I wanted from a Spider-Man film, and who could forget William Dafoe's Green Goblin? Again, Spider-Man, come out to play. And then who could forget the film that started it all, Blade, with Wesley Snipes. Some other effers are always trying to ice skate uphill, and it's nice seeing Blade wreak some havoc with some bloodsuckers. Speaking of bloodsuckers, Interview with a Vampire was the film that got me into vampires. I love this film with Brad Pitt. Is that the train? Excuse the train. But like Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst, Christian Slater. Oh man, Antonio Banderas as Armand. Great film. Then its sequel, not like the book at all, but I do like Queen of the Damned. And mainly because of the soundtrack and Aaliyah's great performance as Akasha. Who could forget that scene with Down with the Sickness in Death Valley and Changed by the Deftones. Oh man. Then after that would be the Disney Three Musketeers from 1993. Yes, All for One and One for All for Love. Yeah, I love this movie. Then would be Mask of Zorro. Such a cool, almost like Batman Beyond-esque thing for Zorro, with Don Diego de la Vega played by Anthony Hopkins and Alejandro played by Antonio Banderas, taking the mantle of Zorro. Great film with Catherine Zeta-Jones as well. Going with adventure, the first Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, is classic adventure, swashbuckling action. A lot of people hate this film, but I absolutely adore Godzilla 1998. That is just a feel-good movie from my childhood, and who could forget the soundtrack? Heroes by the Wallflowers. Awesome, awesome song. And then going with Godzilla, I'd have to add Godzilla Minus One. Yes, it's depressing, it's emotional, but you go through a wave of emotions, and it's like the best Godzilla film ever made. Seriously, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's like, what if Jurassic Park and Saving Private Ryan mixed in with Dunkirk and Jaws, and that's what you get. Next up with the Galaxy Defenders is Men in Black. I love all three of them, but the first one has a special place in my heart, being a Will Smith fan back in the day, and then Tom Lee Jones, and then the soundtrack, Linda Fiorentino, Vincent D'Onofrio, gonna have some sugar and water. Next up would be the Austin Powers trilogy. All three films are consistent. They're probably the best comedy trilogy along with Naked Gun as far as consistency, and they're all funny, and they're better than ever. I miss movies like this. And then going with Spy, I love all 7 Mission Impossible Impossible films. It doesn't matter which one it is. I live and breathe that series. It's just a comfort film ever since the first 1996 film, and I even love MI2. And then from 3 on, it gets really fun. Going with Witchcraft would be The Craft. Yes, it's a film I saw later, but I absolutely love this with the cast and the soundtrack and just the 90s vibe of it. It's a perfect film for Halloween and just any season. There can be only one with Highlander. Yes, I love this with Christopher Lambert. You have Sean Connery, Clancy Brown as a Kurgan. I know his name. Yeah, and who could forget the iconic soundtrack by Queen? I mean, come on. After that would be the Karate Kid films, and that's all of them. That's the Daniel LaRusso trilogy, that's the next Karate Kid, and that's Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan's version. I love all of them. And Cobra Kai, but that's another video for series. After that is Beetlejuice. Just don't say his name 3 times in a row. Absolute classic by Tim Burton, has Michael Keaton, who could forget Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, and of course Winona Ryder. Then would be Star Wars episodes 1 through 6, so the prequel and original trilogies. I love the George Lucas ones the best. After that, I could care less. But if we're gonna go with sequels, I think Force Awakens was well crafted, but it felt soulless. Last Jedi, while it has some great ideas, just ultimately the execution of it and Luke Skywalker's characterization just hurt the film. And Rise of Skywalker is a mess. That being said, though, out of the sequels, I enjoy Rise of Skywalker the most. And it's not because it's a good movie, it's just like, it's almost like an earworm for music, where if I put it on, I would enjoy every minute of it, but then I forget about it after it's done, you know? But I think I enjoyed it more because of how much of it was given the middle finger to The Last Jedi. Like, that whole movie was just giving The Last Jedi the middle finger, and I think based on principle, it just between that and then the Luke Skywalker X-Wing scene alone just makes the film for me. And then going with the best Disney Star Wars, hands down would have to be Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor. I mean, the whole cast is great. The nods to the original, the filling of the originals while also bridging the prequels to the originals. Awesome film by Gareth Edwards. Going back to horror would be The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. This film was my childhood, and yeah, I had a crush on Rachel Weisz as Evie. That's all I'm going to say there. And this film just brings back memories of a simpler time. Going with more dark films would be Brandon Lee's The Crow. Every time I feel sad about death or loss, I always watch this movie. It reminds me about, like, you know, spending times and really appreciating the moments with loved ones, but then also always remembering them even when they're gone. And it's just a perfect dark film. Going more action-packed to the mariachi is Once Upon a Time in Mexico by Robert Rodriguez. Love this film with Antonio Banderas, Johnny Depp. Oh man, are you Mexican or Mexicant? Everything about this film is just awesome. Next up would be the Matrix films. Yes, all 4 of them. I love the Matrix, I love Matrix Reloaded, Revolutions, and even Resurrections. I love all 4. Then would be Bumblebee. Bumblebee is probably the best live-action Transformer straight from the cartoons, but also has a heartfelt story. Next up is Speed. Classic Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock film, Dustin Hoffman. Pop quiz, hotshot. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do? Then would be Small Soldiers. All in all, is just a toy. Yet Chip Hazard, the Commandos versus the Gorgonites. Who could forget Archer? Classic film from my youth. I love this from the director of Gremlins. Next up would be Die Hard, the greatest action film ever made, and also a really wonderful film to watch during Christmas. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Absolutely love this underrated Alec Baldwin film. Russell McKay, the director of Highlander and Resident Evil Extinction, also did this. And then 2 films near and dear to my heart during the 90s were Jumanji and Hook with Robin Williams. Both just remind me of a simpler time, and I would always watch Hook over and over. Rufio. Rufio. I want Peter Pan, you know. Dustin Hoffman was great, and then Robin Williams. Yeah. Lastly would be Mortal Kombat from 1995. Seriously, I love this. One of the best video game adaptations ever made, and still my personal favorite Mortal Kombat film. I always associate this with the 90s. Pizza, arcade games, Mortal Kombat trilogy on PS1. Yeah, you name it, I loved it. Anyway, everyone, that was quite a long list, but those are just some of my many comfort films that help me during dark times, when I feel stressed, when I feel drained, when I feel sad, when I feel heartbroken. They just always lift me up. And again, some films are not all upbeat. Some of them are kind of sad. I just love them. So feel free down in the comments below if you haven't already. Let me know your favorite comfort movies. It has to be top 10, as many as you want, whatever. Just let me know some of your favorite comfort movies that help you during the dark times. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more content. During these turbulent times, I hope everyone stays safe and healthy out there. Till next time.